41st Assembly of the Interparliamentary Union is taking place in Belgrade. So we have now this evening the pleasure and the honor to greet here at the Faculty of Law of the University of Belgrade two members of the Parliament of Venezuela. They are Mr. Ramon Dario Vivas Velasco and Mrs. Nasliva Andreina Rodriguez. So they are members of the Parliament of Venezuela who are now guests in Belgrade, and they will speak about the situation in their country. You are certainly aware that their country is facing great problems, and it is one of the friendliest countries to Serbia in all our international affairs. So they deserve our support also. And we have also two other guests. It is a member of our parliament, Mr. George Komlenski, and Mr. Ratko Kasmanovic, who is the president of the International Network for the Defense of Humanity. I don't know whether I translated well. That is Međunarodna mreža za odbranu čovječanstva. They will also say a few words, and of course the first one who will speak, who will introduce the whole session, is His Excellency, the Ambassador of Venezuela, Mr. Dimas Jesus Alvarenga Guerra, and he will have the floor the first, and then the other guests will speak about it. Thank you.
Dobro večer. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for such a wonderful introduction to us. I would like to take also the opportunity to thank Dr. Branko Rakic, the director of the Department of International Law and the International Law Faculty of the University of Belgrade, for this opportunity for us to be able to be here and talk to you today, also present our deputies who came here, as Mr. Branko mentioned. There is the 141st Interparliamentary Union taking place in Belgrade right now, so we have deputies from all over the world taking part. Okay. So we thought it was a great initiative to be able to come here to this prestigious, renowned faculty and be able to present them and talk about the current events and the recent events that have been happening in Venezuela. In that sense, well, I would also like to extend a warm thanks to all the solidarity groups that are here with us tonight, to the Professor Dr. Zoran Mirkovic, Dean of the Faculty of Law, to the Deputy Mr. George Komlenski, President of the Parliamentary Friendship Group Venezuela and Serbia, between Venezuela and Serbia, to Mr. Ratko Krasmanovic, I hope also I mentioned his last name well, who is the president of our network of intellectual artists and social movements in defense of the humanity chapter Venezuela. To all our comrades, to all our friends, distinguished guests, thank you so much for coming here. So, first of all, I would like to start by talking about, making a small remark about the relationship between Venezuela and Serbia. The first thing that I would like to address is that both Venezuela and Serbia, we have a profound and well-fundamented respect for the international law, for the principles of non-intervention, for the principles of non-intervention and sovereignty of the states. So we both countries recognize this, and that's where we fundament our friendship. We, at the moment, we hold the best, I would say, friendship relationship, political relationships. I'm here to hopefully be able to bring our countries closer together in different aspects, and in economic fields and other fields that also we could complement each other a lot. But we're here tonight to talk about Venezuela, the current events, the things we're seeing in the news, and also we have our deputies from Venezuela who came here for taking part in the Interparliamentary Union, Mr. Dario Vivas and Nasliva Rodriguez, who will also clarify a lot of points about our National Assembly and our National Constituent Assembly in Venezuela. So, as you might know, I'm sure that a lot of you follow a lot Venezuela. We are facing a non-conventional, multi-form kind of war. I've heard recently that there's two ways to colonize people: by force or also by cultural means. And this multi-form war against Venezuela, projected by the imperialists and the hegemonic powers in the world, has a lot to do with this form of cultural colonization. They use a lot of mass media to sell false information about Venezuela, what's happening. They manipulate a lot with this, and the truth of the facts is that Venezuela has a very well-drafted constitution that contemplates all the scenarios for what's happening. Therefore, we come to this meeting point where people are confused about why are there such thing as a National Assembly and a National Constituent Assembly. Well, our Constitution foresees the coexistence of both of them. One of them, which is not being dissolved, it's simply in contempt and was declared in contempt by our Supreme Court of Justice. So I think here I have to make another clarification, and is that in Venezuela there's 5 branches of power. There's the executive power, the legislative power, we call it the moral power, or the power of the people, electoral power, and which one I didn't mention, the judicial power. So the judicial power, by means of the Supreme Court of Justice, together with the National Electoral Center, which is the electoral power, they declared the National Assembly in contempt because during the elections they put 3 deputies in a false way. So this was reason enough for us to realize that they were cheating these elections against us. So I mentioned this because recently in the news we've seen that President Nicolas Maduro has allowed for a fraction of our deputies to join the National Assembly in contempt, and it's not a sign of legitimizing their institutionality or that they're back in power. No, it's just a sign of showing that we are open to the dialogue, and by means of dialogue we mean to restore and unify our national assemblies functions in plenty. So basically it's a sign that we are giving that we are open for a dialogue. It's not legitimizing their authority or anything like that. As we all know, the past 23rd of January, by coincidence, a person who was not supposed to even be the president of the National Assembly in contempt auto-proclaimed himself president of the Republic in a square, violating our Carta Magna, our constitution, violating all kinds of international law for that matter, and has been very radical in calling foreign powers to come and intervene by means of power in Venezuela. That added to all the unilateral coercive measures that the imperialist states or the Washington administration has already put in motion against Venezuela. We're talking that from 2015 on, when President Barack Obama signed the first executive order against Venezuela, declaring us an unusual threat to the United States, Venezuela started going in a very bad way internationally, in the sense that they've blocked our trade routes, they've casted us out from the financial system by means of the dollar hegemony. They unfolded a mediatic war against Venezuela, where all the main Western media outlets have shown nothing but biased information about Venezuela, basically. So recently, Trump has tried to go down more on that road, and he also signed a new executive order, which basically allows him to loot and rob assets of Venezuela in the United States soil. But it has at the same time created a domino effect, where we have seen that the Bank of England, a lot of banking institutions have not only frozen or seized assets from Venezuela that were abroad, but they've disposed of them. They've started using these resources that belong to the nation for their own means. And here we start to contemplate and see what the real problem is here. Venezuela has the biggest proven oil reserves in the world. We have the second biggest natural gold reserve in the world. We have the sixth reserve of diamonds in the world. We have a lot of natural resources, and there's another central problem, which is for this imperialist interest to interpose themselves in Venezuela, and is that our constitution is the obstacle for their means. Because our constitution does not allow for the alienation of the natural resources of my country. So we are not allowed to give a full concession for a multinational company to come and exploit our soil for their sole purpose of their benefit. This is not allowed in our constitution. The natural resources of the country are to work for the benefit and for increasing the standard of living of our population. And this is what we have been doing for the last years. So this is a problem. We've heard, I don't know, you might have heard in the beginning when President Chavez was in power that there was a lot of disputes being raised against him by multinational companies like ExxonMobil and things like this, because their concessions were revoked, because the constitution changed. And here, there's also a way that the mass media has been biased about what they're saying, about what these companies are claiming against the Republic of Venezuela, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, is that they are claiming their opportunity cost. Basically, what they could have done in Venezuela in gains if they would have kept such concessions and so on. But it's not proportional to the investment that they've lost in Venezuela, because basically their investments were were already repaid long before this happened. So this is a little bit of the manipulation of how things get lost in the way because we are not put in the right context. Now we find ourselves again in this time, this year, where we have seen a lot of things happening. This person, self-proclaiming president of the republic, trying to introduce some humanitarian help to the border with Colombia, using the Colombia as a buffer for entering the country and things like this. And there's a lot of things that just come to my head that call the attention. For example, the executive order of President Trump came on a Monday after a weekend where there were two massive shootings in the United States. Their commercial war with China was reaching quite a climax, and basically there was a lot of things going on there, and it seemed that he tried to divert the attention of the international public opinion to Venezuela. He's not the first one to do it. Recently in the United Nations General Assembly, which luckily, we were, I would say, successful in the sense that our executive vice president, Rodriguez, was able to take the stand and talk about the truth of what's happening in Venezuela. President of Colombia dedicated 80% of his speech to Venezuela. He spent 80% of his speech in the General Assembly of the United Nations just talking about Venezuela, as if there's nothing happening in Colombia, and we can just simply, cover the sun with one finger. So you see, there's a lot of indicators that we're reading out here, and that's why we would like to take this stand and take this opportunity to talk to you, to also hear your questions and try to clear them out about what's happening in Venezuela. So we will pass now a video where we're talking about our National Assembly. It's a 14-minute video. We will pass it now after my intervention, and then I will give the floor to the Deputy Dario Vivas and to our Deputy Nosri Rodriguez, so they can also expose their perspective on the current events in Venezuela, and then we can also give the floor to the Deputy, Mr. George Krumlensky. So thank you very much. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for coming, and all the best.
The deputies, women and men who as speakers are majority at the Bolivarian National Assembly of Venezuela after their 2015 triumph.
El Partido Socialista Unido de Venezuela tiene 24 representantes nominales. En la modalidad lista, 22 representantes en la modalidad lista, con un total para 46 diputados y diputadas. nominal 72 diputados y diputadas, en la modalidad lista 27 para un total de 99.
Have been violating systematically the sovereignty, peace, and human rights of the people of Venezuela, and their actions dissociate the principles that rule the Interparliamentary World Union, which have the fundamental lines of the public international laws. Henry Ramos, activate a plan against democracy.
Cumpliendo con lo dispuesto en el reglamento interior y de debate, en lo atinente a la revisión de credenciales, fueron llamados a revisión 167 diputados que conforman esta Asamblea Nacional. Se revisó 163 credenciales, faltando 4. 3 por el estado Amazonas y uno indígena, ya que la sala electoral del Tribunal Supremo de Justicia declaró con lugar un recurso y de allí, por favor, se consideró procedente.
The emergency plan was not discussed, denying its application.
El decreto de emergencia económica nacional que ha sido publicado el día de hoy en Gaceta y que el presidente explicará también y mencionará dentro de lo que es su relato de los retos y problemas que ha afrontado Venezuela en el pasado.
Desde 1992, 1998, 1999, desde que se dio el parto constituyente en paz, de la mano de nuestro pueblo, de la sabiduría ancestral, de los humildes, hasta el día de hoy, nos hemos empeñado en construir una democracia política que tenga las más amplias libertades y participación. Y en un escenario que vamos a analizar, que se ha venido analizando y debatiendo en el transcurso de toda esta semana, hoy la oposición, que buena parte de ella nos acusó durante 2 décadas, nacional e internacionalmente, de querer instalar, de haber instalado un régimen tiránico, hoy gracias a esta constitución y al sistema electoral venezolano, aquí están presentes y los reconocemos. Esta emergencia nacional que he decretado para activar todos los mecanismos extraordinarios que nos permite la vida política, institucional, económica, financiera de la nación. ¿Cuál es el espíritu? Impulsar un gran movimiento nacional de protección del pueblo, de recuperación económica productiva.
La votación que acaba de efectuarse de manera nominal niega el decreto número 2184 de fecha 14 de enero de 2016, presentado por el ciudadano presidente de la República, Nicolás Maduro Moro, ante esta Asamblea Nacional.
At the same time, the National Assembly assumes competitions that does not have.
Vamos a recurrir a los organismos internacionales porque en la OEA y en el sistema interamericano hay instancias para recurrir respecto de las acciones de un gobierno como este. Por eso estamos aquí. Le solicitamos al secretario general, como directivos de la Asamblea Nacional, poder electos por el pueblo, la aplicación de la Carta Democrática Interamericana por existir en nuestro país suficientes razones para activar ese dispositivo.
Insists and accelerates the strategy against national sovereignty.
Juro
ante Dios y ante la patria, cumplir fielmente con la Constitución de la República Bolivariana de Venezuela, las leyes de la República y los deberes inherentes al cargo de presidente de la Asamblea Nacional para el cual he sido electo. En los próximos días aprobaremos por mayoría de esta Asamblea Nacional la declaratoria del abandono del cargo por parte de Nicolás Maduro.
Julio Borges sends a group of deputies on a trip around the world, stopping at the U.S. to ask for special coercive actions against Venezuela, which are indeed prohibited by the international law.
Quiero pedirle en nombre del pueblo de Venezuela, por supuesto al señor presidente Maduro, que son necesarias las sanciones, ampliar las sanciones, intensificar las sanciones.
The National Assembly Board of Directors planned and executed violent acts out on the streets of Venezuela.
Venezolano 18-757-028, hoy es 9 de agosto. Hace varias semanas fui contactado por Julio Borges, quien me pide el favor de pasar a una persona de Venezuela a Colombia. Se trataba de Juan Monasterio. Me contacté con él a través de la mensajería. Yo estaba en San Cristóbal. Una vez le escribí a Mauricio Jiménez, supervisor de migración, le hice la solicitud y él inmediatamente se pusieron en contacto con Juan Monasterio para hacer el pase de San Antonio a San Cristóbal. Nunca tuve contacto físico con Juan Monasterio, yo lo hice a través de la mensajería, lo solicitaba.
Assumes the presidency of the National Assembly in an illegal way, ignoring the Venezuelan Constitution.
Reafirmar la ilegitimidad de Nicolás Maduro Moros por no haber habido elección el 20 de mayo.
The usurpation continues and deepens with the self-proclaimed Guaidó as interim president of Venezuela.
¡Juro! Asumir formalmente las competencias del Ejecutivo Nacional.
This violation of the Venezuelan Constitution is transferred to the streets of the nation on January 23rd and January 24th. As violence goes out. Juan Guaidó, with no competence whatsoever, authorizes the United States government to block the Venezuelan Petroleum Company's subsidiary Citgo's infrastructure on North American soil.
Bueno, un día muy importante, sumamente importante, porque por primera vez se dan sanciones en el ámbito petrolero por parte de los Estados Unidos directamente contra PDVSA y el dinero que irá a cuentas bloqueadas.
Con respecto al tema de la protección de activos venezolanos, una solicitud, una petición del Parlamento Nacional resguardar los activos venezolanos.
As things progressed, some of the right-wing deputies ordered their followers and the Venezuelan military to disobey the Constitution, to disobey the principles of Venezuela democracy.
Es la hora de romper la obediencia. Es la hora de romper las lealtades.
Juan Guaidó and his partners planned a very dangerous action, which violates, just like it did happen in Libya, the international laws. They went ahead with the humanitarian help with one thing in mind: invading Venezuela.
Y por eso subimos las competencias que nos da la Constitución de este Parlamento Nacional y decretamos amnistía y congelamos las cuentas y no vamos a permitir que se sigan robando la plata. Y más importante lo de nuestra gente que la está pasando mal. Vamos a autorizar y va a ingresar la ayuda humanitaria en Venezuela.
Each and every action planned by these elements had one goal: generate an international conflict at the Colombian-Venezuelan border. The humanitarian help is, in itself, a lie that has the intention to create in the international community the sense that there is a need to intervene militarily in Venezuela. It is evident that peace is not included in the plans that the U.S. has for Venezuela in the near future.
¿Qué va a definir el costo de la transición? Ya nosotros hemos puesto mucho y estamos dispuestos a hacer lo que sea necesario por la libertad. Así que no tengan duda que vamos a echar el resto. Que hoy le pone costo en vidas humanas todos los días de la transición, que amenaza con supuestos francotiradores. No hay miedo. Aquí vamos a y no va a ser en vano. No va a ser en vano. Y el costo que ya hemos puesto, porque para nosotros no es costo, para nosotros es inversión y futuro.
To je za nas ulaganje u budućnost.
Juan Guaidó is just the puppet, the instrument, the marionette, is the key that may open the blackout Venezuelan operation that would allow the chaos, the darkness, death, and destructions that the U.S. and its allies need to steal what belongs to the Venezuelans.
Ahora, nuestra labor desde el Parlamento es crear las certezas, no solamente para solucionar las crisis eléctricas que sabemos cómo hacerlo, sino para que cese definitivamente la usurpación. Es evidente que no habrá solución al problema eléctrico mientras usurpen funciones en Miraflores. El cese de la oscuridad vendrá definitivamente con el cese de la usurpación.
We just ask for justice.
Buenas noches, saludarlos y agradecerles tanto a los profesores, estudiantes y a todos los que hoy nos acompañan y quieren saber un poco sobre lo que ocurre en Venezuela y sobre todo incluso después de la satanización de la que hemos sido víctimas los venezolanos y las venezolanas.
Da vas sve pozdravim, da se zahvalim studentima, profesorima, svima što ste došli i što vas zanima situacija u Venecueli, sve ono što Venezuela proživljava svih ovih godina.
A mí me correspondió ser parte de ese 2% que hablan en estos días en la Unión Interparlamentaria Mundial de jóvenes menores de 30 años que son parlamentarios y parlamentarias.
Ona čini onih 2% koje su danas pominjali na Interparlamentarnoj uniji, onih koji su članovi nove Narodne skupštine u Venecueli. Znači samo 2% mladih, ona je jedna od tih u Narodnoj skupštini.
Luego de que el presidente Nicolás Maduro orientara y dirigiera en Venezuela de que el 50% de los parlamentarios y las parlamentarias venezolanos fueran jóvenes. Y además en un momento donde a las fuerzas revolucionarias nos correspondió tener un revés electoral.
Predsjednik Nicolas Maduro je bio taj koji je odredio da 50% narodnih poslanika budu mladi u Venecueli. On je jedan primjer toga. I na njima je ta teška odgovornost da budu danas nosioci revolucije i da se izbore za svoju slobodu.
Y si bien es cierto, bueno, tuvimos ese revés electoral y sabíamos que la derecha venezolana iba a llegar al Parlamento para beneficiar a los más pudientes del país, lo que realmente en ese momento, como ser mi primera vez como parlamentaria, no pasó por mi mente que esa derecha establecería un montón de mecanismos que no estaban dentro de nuestra constitución para derrocar a un presidente electo por el pueblo.
Znači, ona nije mogla ni da zamisli da će njen prvi put u Skupštini biti takav da će desničari učiniti sve da sruše i da uopšte ne ispoštuju Ustav, znači za ono za što su se oni godinama borili.
Y no solamente sus intentos de derrocar a un presidente legítimamente electo por el pueblo, sino también que se dieron a la tarea de desconocer al resto de los poderes del Estado, tratando de mostrar ante el mundo que había una confrontación de poderes en Venezuela cuando en realidad lo que había era un poder, el poder parlamentario en manos de la oposición venezolana, desconociendo al resto de los poderes y al resto de las instituciones del Estado.
Ne samo što su pokušali da svrgnu s vlasti legitimno izabranog predsjednika Venecuele, već su učinili sve da negiraju sve ostale legalno izabrane vlasti koje postoje u Venecueli, što je za nju bilo iznenađujuće.
Y eso nos llevó incluso a no obedecer una sentencia del Tribunal Supremo de Justicia, el máximo tribunal de nuestro país, que además está compuesto por una sala constitucional que es la máxima intérprete de nuestra Constitución. Y al este Parlamento haber desobedecido esta sentencia de nuestro máximo tribunal, pues fue decretada en desacato y todas sus decisiones además estaban viciadas de nulidad, es decir, eran nulas.
Znači nisu čak ispoštovali ni presudu Vrhovnog suda pravde koja je najveća instanca pravde u Venecueli, tako da su oni sve te legalne odluke negirali, odnosno nisu ispoštovali i pozivali su narod da to ne poštuje.
Desde allí y desde el preciso momento que ganaron las elecciones parlamentarias, sus acciones fueron acciones inconstitucionales, como por ejemplo juicios políticos al presidente, que probablemente en otros países del mundo exista, pero en nuestra legislación, en la legislación venezolana, en nuestra constitución, no existe ningún juicio político hacia el presidente, sino que solamente el pueblo venezolano es el único que puede derrocar a un presidente a través de elecciones libres.
Znači u Venecueli jedini koji imaju moć da svrgnu aktuelnog predsjednika na vlast je narod putem legitimnih izbora. Ono što su oni uradili bilo je da pozivaju narod da ne poštuju Ustav, da ne poštuju presude i da ne poštuju sve one zakone koje Ustav propisuje.
Y en lugar de cumplir con las responsabilidades que nos había otorgado el pueblo venezolano de legislar, de hacer control político, se dieron a la tarea de, como parlamentarios, tratar de no solamente derrocar al presidente Nicolás Maduro, sino que además hacer ver ante el mundo de que todas las instituciones del Estado venezolano estaban viciadas y que eran ilegítimas.
Znači, pored toga što su pokušali da svrgnu sa vlasti predsjednika Nikolasa Madura, pokušali su i da ubede narod da su sve institucije nelegalne, odnosno da ne rade svoj posao kako treba i uporno su pozivali narod da ne sluša sve te zakone i da se ogluši njih.
Y al ver que esas estrategias no le funcionaban por la profunda conciencia del pueblo venezolano, su camino o el camino que escogió la oposición venezolana fue el camino de la violencia.
Kada su vidjeli da im ta strategija ne uspeva, zato što je venecuelanski narod svestan toga ko je predsjednik Maduro i na koji način je došao na vlast, oni su se odlučili da se za ta svoja uverenja izbore putem nasilja.